Hey all friends, welcome to the channel. Bob here. With this is a Pantheon video. Now this is not me playing Pantheon. This is just what you're seeing in the background is just a developer video stream type thing basically. So I'm doing this video because I get a lot of requests. Well, I get a lot of comments about Pantheon, and a few people have said to me that doing Pantheon videos would probably be quite good for the channel. Kind of when I was talking about, you know, expanding the channel and doing more with the channel, which is absolutely right. But before I talk about sort of Pantheon a bit, I thought I would just kind of cover why I haven't done many Pantheon videos, and I was trying to think of the nicest way of saying it. not that I'm, you know, being critical in any way, but I think an example would be that my most anticipated game at the moment is Cyberpunk 2077. But I don't go to websites and listen to what people think about the game that's not out yet. That's how I feel about what content I absorb in general. You know, so I kind of want my channel to be, I'm playing the game. This is the game. This is exactly how the game is. I can tell you what the game's like because I'm playing it. This is it in real life. You know, I don't, and a part of it is because I'm kind of not interested in, like, I'm not interested in listening to someone kind of talking about a game that's not out yet. I mean, like, you know, going back to the Cyberpunk kind of reference, I follow the channel on YouTube, and when there's a gameplay video, I'll go and watch the gameplay video, but I'm not subscribed, nor do I search out videos from fans who are talking about the content that they've seen or what the developers have released. I'm just not into that. You know, as I said, I much prefer to play a game and then cover content on the game that I'm playing, so that you're getting an honest opinion. I'm not really interested in what someone thinks about the Cyberpunk graphics. I'm not really interested in what someone thinks about the skills or the gameplay. What I want to do is play the game and kind of make up my own mind. And it's exactly the same with Pantheon. You know, I think there are 2, 3 or 4 quite popular kind of like fan channels for Pantheon, but I don't really have any interest in that content. You know, as I said, it's not, and that's not a criticism of the content. You know, I just don't, for myself, I would rather play the game and then do a video for you telling you what I think of the game, the actual game, rather than what I think about, you know, what the raid limit is or whatever. You know, I mean, I think there are some interesting aspects to talk about. Like now I've said I'm not interested in doing that content. You know, don't be surprised to see like a shaman video at some point in the near future that I'm working on. Yeah, just to see what it's like. It wouldn't see what it's like. No, just so that I can kind of talk a bit about my favourite class and the information that's been released so far. So yeah, so I've basically, literally just immediately gone against what I was saying. But then that's the hypocrisy of humanity. You know, I can do that because that's what we're like. You know. but yeah, that's the general reason. You know, I don't search out content of people talking about, you know, what the developers have said or what you know, or what we're seeing on screen at the moment. Although this is probably a bit more interesting when you're looking at how the game plays and stuff, you know. But I don't actually seek that content out, so that's kind of why I don't produce it. But at the same time, I do understand that it probably would be good for the channel. But I'm kind of hoping more that when I do eventually get access to the game, you know, then I can do content based on the game that, from my own experiences of playing it, and then, you know, hopefully that's what the sort of thing that people like to see. But as I said, I do completely understand that getting your arm in before the game comes out is generally a good idea. And as I said, I won't not be doing content, but I'll look for things that I'm kind of really interested in and then cover that, rather than just generally doing it because for whatever reason, you know. I think that the other problem with it as well is that it's difficult to get. If I'm producing content for Pantheon, but I haven't played it. I think invariably what happens is that it's kind of like you're doing it because you're a fan, but you're kind of a fan of something that's not out yet. So I think for me, then it also feels like it becomes a bit fanboyish. So I'm kind of promoting a game that I've never played, but I like the looks of it. I think there are ways of balancing that by being equally critical, and I mean, you can't even really be critical if you haven't played it, can you? Yeah, I don't. I do feel quite conflicted about it because, yeah, quite often when you go to a site or a channel that's a fan site for a fan channel for a game that's not released yet, it does come across a bit fanboy-y, and I'm not sure that you can get really, maybe, we obviously can't get an accurate idea at all what the game's like because that person's not playing it. But I think when you're a fan of a game that's not released, yeah, I think there is a potential where things become a bit fanboy and maybe you don't discuss the other aspects. Because I think, again, this is not a criticism, but I've actually spoken to people who have told me that they've created YouTube channels or websites based on a game that's not out yet, purely because they wanted to get noticed by the developers and purely because they wanted to get early access. So that happens as well. I'm not saying that that's the case for anyone in particular, but that's just people I've spoken to in the past when I've spoken about YouTube and stuff to people. And and you get that as well. You get people who will create a channel or whatever because they want to get noticed and they want access and whatever. That's but I generally just prefer content from people that have actually played the game. And I said that. I'm sure my comments won't put me on the VIP list for any access anytime soon, but that's life. There you go. It's difficult. But anyway, like onto the game after that. My opening monologue. It's kind of difficult to have an opinion on the game really beyond like the basics. I mean, looking at this content here that the devs are playing, it looks very, very, very much like EverQuest. The way the combat is playing, the pulling, the hit points of the mobs, the difficulty. We got a whole group. Fighting one mob here, and it's taken them quite a fair amount of time to take down. So yeah, it feels like EverQuest from a gameplay point of view, which is a good thing. Which is I think that's generally what we were looking for. It does seem as though there are some I was going to say improvements. It depends on your point of view, I guess. It does seem as though there are some home comforts. Maybe things have been tuned to be a bit more user friendly. From what I've been listening, just kind of watching videos, listening to what developers are saying, reading between the lines, etc. I like the way it looks visually. It looks like it's going to look pretty decent. I think the level design seems very good. I'm not convinced by the whole climb mechanic. I think it's a good way to add some verticality, but I think it's one of those mechanics that could potentially either be really buggy or really exploitable. It's an MMO and people just find things, don't they? That yeah. So I do like the way it's adding some verticality. As a person who kind of plays on solo quite a lot, I'm never a fan of content being gated off to an extreme extent, but I quite like the idea that there's some places you can't access. I'm not sure if your climbing skill goes up, but I quite like the idea, like it raises like any other skill, but I quite like the idea that maybe there's some content that you can't reach until your climbing skill gets better and stuff. That seems pretty decent. Fyodrin the Sundersmith. I wonder if this is like a named character. Yeah, but the game's looking really good, and some of the level design looks really good. Wow, that was he 1-2 shot there? It was a big death. Was that the tank? I think that was a tank as well. So Fyodrin Thundersmith might be. Oh, there's another death. Yeah, Fodrin appears as though he's going between characters, just killing them essentially. Yeah, but level design looks great. Looks big. Levels look big. Hopefully exciting to explore. Yeah, all of that sort of stuff looks pretty decent. I quite like the looks of the perception system. Again, like on the recent, someone said, "Have you seen the? Is it? I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Is it Fairvale or Fairvale or whatever the little project they've been working, the project that they've been working on." But I quite like the perception system. I quite like the way the perception system just gives you some little environmental role-playing type stuff as you walk around. Like you get a message, you know, you might walk up to this ice orb thing up there and it'll give you a little message about it as you approach it. I quite like that. There appears to be like a story, like quite a lot of lore, and there's a story running through it, quests. So maybe as well as this kind of EverQuest style combat, have they kind of mezzed him there and they're just getting their group back together? Possibly. That's quite interesting. I quite like that. The fact that you can crowd control a mob, potentially, just to get your group back up and running. It seems a bit OP actually, though. Got like a bossy type mob. I'm not sure what the levels are and how tough he is generally in regards to the group, but it seems as though they've been able to crowd control him and then res their group members and then carry on the fight, which yeah, it seems a bit OP, but anyway. Yeah, so it appears as though you've got the EverQuest combat type stuff, and then you've got like a little questing side as well, and the perception system. So I'm not sure how much XP you'll get from questing, if anything at all. Maybe none. You know, maybe the XP will come from combat, but you'll have this storyline running through it. So I quite like that. I quite like the idea of the storyline running through. And lots of lore and stuff. One thing I did wonder is, I wonder if there's been a bit of feature creep, because it feels as though the game is still a long way away. You know, I wouldn't be at all surprised 2022, 2023 before we see a release. You know, it just does feel like there's a long way to go still. And I know there's been quite a lot of marketing type stuff recently, a lot of videos, and they're doing these dev chat things like once a week or whatever, but it does still feel a long way away. Wow, Fjodrin is OP. He's just yeah, so even getting their group resed again and carrying on again, the tank just got like two-shotted. That's mental. Yeah, it seems as though Fjodrin's just going through the group. That's awesome. That's what we like to see. No soloing that dude. Well, not at this level anyway. He's doing tons of damage. 500 damage. 200. Wow. He's bashing for 500. He waylays you for 500. Waylay. Wow. Is that some sort of like charge attack? Could potentially be, couldn't it? He did 800 there. Look. Bashes for 800. Holy smokes, he's a dude. Yeah, so maybe it'll be a mix of EverQuest and Warcraft, where the combat seems to be more geared towards the EverQuest, but you've got the grouping side of things as well. I was disappointed with the Fairvale reveal thing, and I think that kind of shows that there's still a long way to go in the game. I was expecting a bit more. I liked the zone that they were wandering around in. I quite liked some of the perception stuff, as I said. I thought the was it not a pixie? I quite like the tree spirit imp type thing that was in the game, that was in the zone. That was really nice. Yeah, but I do feel that there's just a long way to go. So I think we're going to be waiting. You know, it's I just think that, yeah, I'm not excited for the game. You know, having any options playing it short term. I just think that it's going to be a long way to go. I think there was a video late last year, where one of the developers said, you know, they're working within their means, so development is quite slow. I think he said that like occasionally they'll get like an investment of money or an input of money, where then the development obviously picks up. But then when that money is used up, it kind of goes back to their standard development progress. So it seems slow, but I'm still excited for it. You know, it's I'm disappointed. I think I'm disappointed with the Fairfell stuff, mainly because looking at, I think there was a level 42 shaman in the group. I think the YouTube influencer, the Twitch influencer was playing a shaman, and at one point they had the spell book open and he was looking at a lot of the spells. There's a load of spells in the book, looking at a lot of the spells, and it just seemed terribly generic. It's like EverQuest shaman, really. I mean, I think this is one of the things that developers get wrong in role-playing games, even in single-player games, is that I'm a shaman. I've got a spell book full of buffs and heals and stuff, but what's making me a shaman? You know, naming the spell after an animal spirit or an elemental spirit, that's boring. It doesn't make me a shaman. It just makes me a healer or a buffer with spells that are kind of named and themed around shamanistic type things. It just feels like generically boring. I mean, I like to use my imagination quite a lot in games. So when I'm playing a class, you know, you kind of try to embody that. But I was a bit disappointed with the shaman. It just seemed like an EverQuest shaman, really. Maybe things like I know that you get like a spirit animal, wolf type thing early on. So maybe that's what makes it quite interesting. But if the shaman is just a class that's called a shaman, then it just buffs and heals and does damage, that's just boring to me. I mean, I think part of the reason is that, you know, there are games out there like Project Gorgon that have got a minute amount of development money in comparison to Pantheon. It's developed by 2 people, but you're getting interesting mechanics like the lycanthropy mechanic, you know, or the kind of different animal forms you can turn into. I know it's a mechanic that people who play the class find quite annoying, but it's quite interesting that, like a necromancer, to raise pets, you know, has to be in a graveyard or where there are other players, where other players have died. You can be like a spider necromancer, you know. I know some of it's a bit outlandish maybe for this more high fantasy type game, but yeah, I look at some of the ideas that these people are coming up with. Like, you've got cheese making and you need to take your cheese to let it mature in like a cave somewhere. You know, just all of these little interesting mechanics. And at the moment, I mean, I quite like the perception system, but at the moment, like the classes and stuff, like Pantheon's looking really generic in comparison. Maybe there's a lot of information that we haven't come across yet. But after playing Project Gorgon, I'm looking for a bit more from my RPG experience, just from a flavour point of view and a mechanics point of view. You know, I think if the shaman in Pantheon is someone who stands there like that, just buffing and healing, well, you know, I might not play it because I've done that already. you know. So I just think there's just so many more interesting things that you could do, just with the shaman, for example, with regards to, you know, spirit contacting, you know, like you know, potion use, for example, to take you into different spirit realms and things. Like maybe as a shaman you could take a potion that kind of shifts you're where your group is, but it kind of shifts you into a different, I'm not sure what words I'm looking for, but maybe it could shift you into a spirit realm that's adjacent to the realm that your group is in, and then you could maybe do some different stuff in that realm that helps your group that you can only do in that realm, maybe. Yeah, but at the moment I'm disappointed that everything is looking quite generic. But I guess that just comes from playing other games where they're being more creative, you know, and you get spoilt by that. Maybe that's the thing. But anyway, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The things I'm most excited about are the level design, which looks really good, and the perception system looks pretty interesting as well. Things I'm less excited about are what appear to be, at the moment anyway, are quite generic classes. I'm looking for more creativity and more interesting mechanics, basically. But we'll, yeah, until you play it, we don't really know. You know, maybe when I get a chance to play it, I'll just think to myself, what a shame, and just not for me. It's too similar to the EverQuest 1. I've done all that too many times before. Maybe I'll try something else. You know, maybe that's how it'll work. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to the game still, but it just feels as though it's a long way to go. It's interesting, just quickly to cover development stuff. It's the opposite of Shroud of the Avatar, and I'm not sure that the longer it goes on, the less I think that maybe that's also I think that's the ideal way of doing it. I think Shroud of the Avatar's got a lot of problems. No small one of those is to do with financing. The way the company is operating seems a bit dodgy to me. Changing names, you know, seed investment, dodginess, and all that kind of stuff that just feels a bit off. But one of the things I think that they did do wrong, partly, is that the development process was a real open wound. Like, this is everything we're doing. We're telling you everything. Look, and you can play it right now. And I think, obviously, Pantheon is kind of the opposite to that, in a way. It's all very closed, and we're developing this game. We're not going to release it till it's finished, and we're happy with it. And I'm not sure that that's the right way anyway. It used to be, but I don't think it is now. I think people want a bit more, you know. Yeah, I don't know. You know, I don't know what the answer is. It's maybe something in between. But anyway, I don't feel that we're getting. I don't feel that we're going to be getting any Pantheon anytime soon until they feel that it's ready to go. You know, which is, you know, fine. But I think a balance between the two development types is probably the way to go. But yeah, I guess it depends really. I mean, what do they do? Can you release a server to? Well, I guess they've got it at the moment, haven't they? I suppose there are people playing it, but it's a small amount. You know, as I said, it is a bit more like a traditional development that we see nowadays. But anyway, that's it. I've said a lot on Pantheon. A lot of it's probably rubbish, but there you go. That's what we do. We come on YouTube and talk rubbish. Everyone does it. Don't think that they don't. So, yeah, thanks for watching. And, yeah, I will be doing some more Pantheon videos before it's released. But it's not something I feel that I want to go all in on. Because I just prefer to talk to you about games that I'm actually playing. So yeah, thanks for watching.